Oh, hey, happy Friday, fraud friends and family. Welcome to another episode of the Friday Fraudster. Listen, imagine investing millions into something that everyone says is the future, like Bitcoin and all this other stuff. But you then realize you've only been chasing an illusion. What if those promises were nothing but a facade designed to disappear the moment that you bought in? Well, this week we are talking about a story that starts with digital dreams and ends with bitter reality. Thanks for joining us. Are you ready? Let's go.
Welcome to the Friday Fraudster podcast. Join them as they discuss sad, funny, and sometimes disturbing fraud stories. Be sure to catch past episodes on your favorite podcasting platform or go to www.fridayfraudster.com.
Hey, what's going on, people? So, listen, let me just ask a broad question to everybody listening right now. Have you ever invested in Bitcoin or anything like that? And if so, what do you think about that? Because, sometimes talking to people in the older generation, they get angst over things like Bitcoin because they can't see it or they can't touch it. And one thing that I always say to them is, you get direct deposit for your paycheck? And they say yes. And I'm thinking, well, similar concept, right? So I'm just wondering, if someone had come to you years ago and asked you to invest in Bitcoin, what would you have said back then? Or has anyone ever asked you? Did someone ask you like in 2010, hey, I want you to invest in this Bitcoin? That ever happened to anybody? Because I got a strange story about that. So without further ado, we're going to bring in the person you all came to see anyway.
You're not so special, guest.
So listen, so the same question I asked them. Back in the day, did anyone ever ask you, hey, got this thing called Bitcoin. You should invest in it?
It's funny that you say that. So I have a Robinhood, Gemini, and a Coinbase account. Maybe stuck a total of maybe $120 in it and just kind of went boop, boop, boop. Let's just try this out, right? I'm not down money, but I'm not rich by any means. But this reminds me, I actually read about Bitcoin. Gosh, it had to be back in like 2014, and it was in a business magazine. And it was probably around $1.50, maybe $2 a coin. And at that point, I was kind of sitting here thinking about, I'm like, who would put money into something like this? Right? Keep in mind, the business article did discuss other type of Bitcoin platforms or attempts before Bitcoin came and how they flopped. Man, do I wish I would have just stuck $50 into that. But
So around 2012, I believe it was, I was working in financial services. No. Around 2010, right after I got out of financial services, someone mentioned Bitcoin to me, and conceptually, I understood the premise behind it, but I had just come out of the financial services industry and I didn't survive the crash that happened in 2008. The bank that I was working for went under. And so I was very skeptical, and they were pushing it and pushing, you need to get some, you need to get some. And I didn't, of course. And I wish I had. Now, I don't know if you remember, there's a story, you can look it up. I think it's still out there on Google. Back in, I think it was 2013, there was a gentleman who paid for a pizza with Bitcoin. He paid for pizza delivery, and he spent something like 100 Bitcoin because Bitcoin wasn't worth that much back then. And so now people are doing the translations as to what that would equate to nowadays and what he actually spent on a pizza if he had actually kept the Bitcoin. Did you find the story?
Yes, he traded
Okay.
10,000 Bitcoins for 2 pizzas worth $30. Today, those Bitcoins are valued at 990 million.
There you go. Can you
That is
imagine?
crazy.
What year was that?
It was May of 2010.
Okay, yeah, I see. I knew it was somewhere around there. Yeah, yeah. This was around the same time, like I just said, where I had a friend that was like, "Hey, man, you need to get in this Bitcoin thing, and I think it's going to be the next big thing." And let's just say this friend didn't have a track record of success. So
Yeah. I mean, but I can understand him. He's a programmer. He's an IT, you know what I'm saying? Like that's what he does every day.
yeah, yeah. So now Bitcoin and Bitcoin equivalents are probably going to be a viable currency at some point in the future, right? Let's just face it. Um, in 2021 or 2022, I think, um, no, 2022 or 2023, the Biden administration, was that when Biden was in office? Yeah, tested out digital payments in the US. They had a program where they tested out some digital payments for a quote unquote US backed currency, digital currency. So at some point, we're all going to be on some sort of digital currency.
Okay. I find this to be a waste of money, and you guys can tell me if I'm wrong, because like we kind of talked for the 2 minutes before we come on live, right? Technically, we have digital currency. We digitized our currency through the US banking system, right?
Yes.
It's using the US dollar currency. Am I missing something here?
Yeah, yeah. Well, okay. So I guess your big question here or query here is why Bitcoin if we already have digital transactions that occur anyway?
Right.
Okay, for me, that one's an easy one because I actually get it. I get the why behind Bitcoin. The how is the questionable thing. The reason that Bitcoin is really in existence is because when you look at currency and the way that it operates today, it's all controlled by the Federal Reserve Bank.
Right.
And they play with our emotions.
Mhm.
Okay. That's partially a joke, but let's think about this. Whenever they want to stimulate the economy, they lower interest rates. Whenever they want to rein in the economy, they raise interest rates. And by that, they control the value of the dollar. Because
Mhm.
what happens when interest rates go down? Housing prices typically go up. When
Yep.
interest rates go up, housing prices typically go down. Now, Bitcoin and or the Bitcoin equivalents were created because they are in a free market, right?
Yep.
The value is really determined by the marketplace. So the intention behind it was to free us from the Federal Reserve Bank, which is not an agency of the federal government at all, anyway. So that I get, that I understand.
Yeah, I got two different thoughts on why I'm sitting here and thinking how I think it would work and how I think it wouldn't work. And my political side is thinking it'll happen if the billionaires in the world want it to happen.
True. But here's the thing, though. Bitcoin and or the digital currencies in and of themselves, they're not that special. They sit on something called the blockchain, and typically you can put anything on the blockchain. And so we hear nowadays that's going to be the big new thing, and I do believe it is, because what happens is when a transaction occurs on the blockchain, it is open to the public and it cannot be changed. So think about digital contracts. Those are already happening on the blockchain where people will add to a contract and then have a final sign off on a contract on the blockchain.
Mhm.
Everybody can see that a transaction has occurred. and it cannot be changed. That's powerful.
That is.
That's very powerful. So, with that in mind, you also have the ability to do things like sell artwork on the blockchain.
Yes, my daughter was looking at that a few years ago when it came up. She wanted to start creating digital artwork. And I said, go for it. I don't know how to post it.
Yeah. So, and they do that through what's called an NFT, a non-fungible token.
Yeah.
Here's the thing that's interesting about that to me. Does anybody have any NFTs? You don't have any NFTs, do you?
No, I do not.
Okay. So the highest selling NFT sold for $91.8 million on December the 2nd of 2021.
I have to look it up and see what it looks like.
You're going to be surprised when you see what it looks like because you've probably seen it before. Tell me what you think when you see it. But those of you listening, you can look it up too. I'm trying to find the picture that I had of it, so I'm stalling a little bit. I can't find, as I was prepping beforehand, I cannot find the picture that I pulled up of it. Say again?
The composite by Beeple sold for, I have one for 69.3 million.
Oh, yep, he did that one too. So he became rich off of a non-fungible token, something that you can't really see or grasp. Here's the thing that's interesting to me about NFTs. You can make a copy of them. I mean, so the value in it is in you knowing that you have the original based on the digital security of it, for lack of a better term, right?
Mm-hmm.
So why would anybody buy NFT?
I mean, could we equivalent that or have the equivalent, I should say, of somebody owning a painting, I don't know, by Da Vinci compared to having a print of a painting of Da Vinci? Could it be something equivalent to that? I just don't understand, like, because I sit here and think a physical painting to me is a completely different thing than having, because I'm guessing the images and stuff are still created with a code of ones and zeros, right? On this blockchain. Is that essentially what it is?
Yeah,
You're
yeah,
just owning the original code?
yeah. That in a nutshell, yeah.
Okay. I mean, that it could be the IT side of that. So I don't think I have an opinion on it if that's what you're wanting to spend your money. And they might see the value in that. Just like some people would sit here and say, well, I wouldn't spend millions and millions of dollars even on a painting by Van Gogh or whoever, because they don't see the value in it. Somebody on this side of the IT side could see some, like an artistic value to it.
Yeah. So value is relative based on how you feel and how much money you have to buy whatever it is that gives you that feeling.
Right.
Yeah, yeah.
Mhm.
I can agree with that because the thing that weirds me out about it is when you think about a Rembrandt or a Van Gogh, those have a certain nostalgia because they're rare.
Mhm.
Like they literally are rare. You can find people with copies, but somebody's gonna authenticate it to say, nah, this isn't the real one. Now, you can kind of try to do that with an NFT, but can you?
I don't know. I mean, like
So
right now, I could sit here and do a snippet shot of one of the NFTs and do what I want with it, right?
yeah, that's kind of what I was thinking. So now with that in mind, what if somebody came to you and said, "I want you to buy into my NFTs because it's like Bitcoin and it's gonna go up in value." What would you say? What would you think about that?
No, I
Okay,
don't
okay.
know enough. I don't know enough about the NFTs.
So let's sweeten the pot then. Let's sweeten the pot just a little bit. Suppose they said that these NFTs were now valued based on some gems that I had in a vault. Because that would be almost the equivalent of how the US dollar used to run when we were on the gold standard, right? Remember, the US dollar was backed by gold that was in the vault in Fort Knox. And so
Mhm.
now they're saying we have this NFT that's backed by a vault full of gems. You know that the gems have an underlying value. So what would you say then if somebody approached you with that?
I might do what's no different than what I've done with my crypto and be like, oh, let me go ahead and invest $100. If I lose it, I lose it. Like, even with our current crypto right now, the only reason why I haven't sold it is because it's not like I've lost anything, I haven't gained anything. So I might as well just let it sit there. But I wouldn't be like being like handing over 10 grand and being like, yeah, sure, just put one of those gems aside for me.
So, okay. So I think I poked the bear long enough because I was just waiting because you know Stephanie always comes with the real direct comment. So I was just waiting. She
Yeah.
said, "I think NFTs are nonsense, just a way to launder funds."
I mean, I'm not gonna lie, I'm gonna be like any other person that it's like, oh man, that if I would just stick in, a few $100, maybe if this takes off. That goes through everybody's mind. It's just your ability to whether you act on it or not. But like I know I've been talking about Kelly a lot. Like she does not like going to casinos. She does not like gambling. I am that person. Like I go in with $40 knowing I'm walking out with nothing. Like,
Yep.
but like that's not me. I'm not that person that's like, oh, I'm gonna go to the ATM and pull an extra $200 out and try to get that money back. Like I'm lost on my 40 and I'm good. We're done. We're good.
Yeah, I think I kind of feel the same way. Like whenever I would go to a casino, which was very rare, I only
Mhm.
went when friends were going, and I would go in set amount of money. And because you see people sitting there at the penny slots all night. I'm like, geez. Well, I don't even know if they have penny slots anymore because
I don't
but
know.
back in the day they had penny slots, and they serve you drinks if you're sitting at the slot machines. So
Mhm.
people would get drunk, and next thing you know, they spend thousands of dollars in pennies or nickels and quarters.
And that's the other thing is I'm not a fan of machines. Like I would always play the card games.
Same,
Yeah.
same.
And that's if I was feeling a table. I had to feel a table. It couldn't be too high. Like I almost want to be like the minimum was $5 if I could find a $5 table, but
Okay, so we're both kind of similar in the fact that when we take risk, they are calculated risk, and kind of like how Stephanie is saying, we believe that NFTs are just kind of nonsense. However, if you have the money to buy an NFT, we don't judge over here. We don't judge. Don't
as
judge.
long as you're not doing anything fraudulent or
Yeah,
illegal.
as long as
Right.
you're not doing anything fraudulent or illegal. So that's why I'm trying to understand how two 23-year-olds got people to invest in NFTs to the tune of losing $23 million. What in the world? I'm sorry. I didn't even segue into this one real nicely today. I just
Oh,
kind
you just
of,
dropped the bomb.
but I'm literally confused. Okay, so in case you missed it, let's just go back and let me smooth our way into today's story, you guys. Two 23-year-olds, um, they kind of had dreams of increasing their bank accounts. So this is what they did. They decided they wanted to do NFTs, non-fungible tokens. And what they did was they promised investors that this shiny new digital asset would skyrocket in value. And so they created this buzz around this project called the Vault of Gems. And what they did was they said that this was the first NFT that was actually pegged to a hard asset, a vault of gems. And so investors were intrigued by this. And so the money started flowing.
And it flowed.
Boy, did it flow.
Right.
Yeah. It flowed to the point where, again, $22 million is what people invested in this thing. And then they did the traditional rug pull. The money was gone, nowhere to be found. But before that even happened, they ended up hiring some people to work for them. They hired this one guy as a project manager to work for them on one of the NFT projects. This guy figured out what was going on, and he decided to, first he confronted them about it, and that didn't go too well. He decided to blow the whistle on the whole thing. And when he blew the whistle, they attacked him. They attacked his family. They tried to run this man out of town. They tried to ruin his name and his reputation, but they were the actual fraudsters. Isn't that crazy?
Yeah, they threw him under the bus. And I know even when we sit here and talk about these stories that are in these like duplicative millions, this happened in 3 years. They siphoned almost $7.5 million each year for 3 years. That's major money in a short amount of time.
Oh, wait. Now, Stephanie is saying same idiots that pumped up the game. Oh, never mind. She's answering the question, what kind of people would invest that kind of money? Okay. Because at first I thought she was saying these were the same guys who pumped up the GameStop stock. But I got it. Sorry. Had a brain fart for a minute there.
No, and I think I understand what she's saying. It's some of these people are thinking this is my right place, right time. I was meant to do this to get rich. Otherwise, why would I have why would it have come to me? There's so many people. It's that FOMO, the fear of missing out, I think, that drives a lot of these bad decisions.
Yeah. I think you're right, because it doesn't make sense. Some things I can actually understand. Like, I could understand some of the Bitcoin rush because you could actually buy things with it in the real world as early as 2009. So Bitcoin is not new at all. It went through its growing pains, and there's a market for it. And I said this last week, I think. Go to Google and type in Bitcoin ATM. And you're going to find that there's so many close to you right now.
I think people would be surprised.
Oh, yeah. NFTs, though, not so much. What am I going to do with an NFT? I can only imagine someone coming to me and saying, I want you to invest in this NFT art that I have. I am going to laugh so hard. And then if it's a picture that I like, I'm just going to right click and save as from the internet and take a picture, take a digital copy of it. I don't care if I'm the first one or the last one. I don't care.
Mm-hmm. There is a Bitcoin machine. Quarter of a mile away from my house.
There's one within 3 miles of your house, I bet.
Oh, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. There's 12 within a 2-mile radius.
There you go.
I think every gas station has one.
Yeah, yeah. So now, if you're just joining us today, let's recap a little bit before we kind of go forward. 2 23-year-olds began selling NFTs, non-fungible tokens. They attempted to attach them to hard physical assets, although we're thinking that those hard physical assets actually didn't exist. They were able to get $23 million out of people selling non-fungible tokens.
Makes me wonder if they actually had like any type of NFT created, like were these investors looking, Because like we said, the non-fungible tokens, it's like artwork. You can see it. Like, did they have that kind of stuff set up? And I guess that's the other thing is, I mean, I'm guessing they had to come up with something creative on what the assets were that was tied to it.
Which is why I think they used gems. You know, a vault full of gems. That sounds regal. It wasn't gold. It wasn't silver. Because we can trade gold and silver on the open market, right? They didn't
Right.
even say diamonds. Because you could probably get diamonds. They're expensive, right? But they're making them in labs now. But gems. They didn't even say what kind of gems, where the gems came from. Just a vault full of gems. See, that sounds regal.
It does.
That sounds regal. So, okay. So yeah. So now they got 23 they were able to siphon over $22 million from people. Now, how did they get caught and what were they charged with? That's the big question. But before we answer that question, let's take a small commercial break. In case you are unaware, I have created the first artificial intelligence application for internal auditors that will help you with productivity as well as education. It is called Audit Leverage. There are about 14 modules to help you with anything from planning to reporting to critical thinking to root cause analysis. And what we're going to do right now is I'm going to show a video that gives you an example of how quickly you can create a risk matrix by simply telling it your industry and the process that you are auditing. You ready for this? Check it out.
Welcome.
Sorry, wrong video. Check it out. So let's take a look at audit leverage really quickly. Suppose you wanted to get a risk matrix for an area. You would go to our risk matrix model and you would simply type in the industry you work in. So in this case, financial services, and what you're looking for, which would be mortgage servicing in this instance. And with the click of a button, you have a risk and control matrix with your audit testing. This is just one powerful function within Audit Leverage. If you look to the side, you'll see that there are several other modules, approximately 14 or 15. So, Audit Leverage, helping you leverage AI to maximize your audit career. So, anyone who might be interested in Audit Leverage, which you all should be because AI helps us work smarter, go to auditleverage.net. Again, that is auditleverage.net. And speaking of Audit Leverage, Thomas is saying I should issue an Audit Leverage NFT. And Victor is joining us from Uganda. Thank you, Victor. Victor says we're doing great work. Thank you, sir. Always appreciate the support.
I am now looking up the names of the projects.
Oh, yeah. So the names of the projects. One of them was called The Vault of Gems. The other one was called Faceless. There was another one called Sinful Souls. Another one was called Dirty Dog, I think. I might have that one wrong. Hold on. Let me go back to my notes. I was scribbling my notes down, and some of these I may be off on just a little bit. What else? Are you seeing? Let's see. Yeah.
So-
another. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No, you're good. Faceless is flagged as potential scam.
Yep.
Sorry, I interrupted. Keep going.
I don't think it's potential now, though. I think we pretty much know it.
Well, the other ones aren't coming up and saying that.
Oh, now that's interesting. Huh.
Or at least Sinful Souls is still up.
So maybe there were some legitimate ones in the middle of all of this madness, huh? Just looking at the names, though, would have caused suspicion for me. There was one called Uncovered, one called Squiggles. That's what I want to do, is invest millions of dollars in something called Squiggles.
Right.
One was called Roost Coin. Okay, you know. But again, here's the thing. You've got to commend these entrepreneurs, 23 years old, and they were able to raise $22 million, a million for every year of life. It's a bad joke. So, anyway, the whistleblower finally got some good attention, and the federal government came in and cracked down. The U.S. Department of Justice stepped in and charged the duo with conspiracy to commit, guess what, wire fraud, multiple counts of wire fraud, and do we get some justice for a whistleblower once? Stalking. They got charged with stalking. And so their fairy tale turned to a cautionary tale at this point.
Yeah. Must have been bad to get that stalking charge.
It had to be real bad. And from what I was reading, it was bad. Allegedly, they threatened not only the whistleblower, but his family, his, friends, extended family. So, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. If I would have looked at this kind of stuff, I would have just been like, no.
Yeah. And that's why I asked the question earlier, would you invest? What would it take? And I think you hit it on the head. If you wanted to do it, you would have done it, but within your own risk tolerance. And when you deal with people who are multimillionaires and multi-billionaires, this may not have been a lot of money to them. Like dropping $500,000 on something like this may not have been a lot of money to them, relatively speaking.
Right. And based on what I'm kind of like, and then this is what else I would question. So, like on the Dirty Dogs one, right? In order to purchase one of their NFTs, I would have to purchase Ethereum cryptocurrency.
Ooh.
So it's sitting here and making me wonder, are there certain cryptocurrencies out there that are creating their own NFTs, but then require their cryptocurrency to be used to purchase? So like these ones are saying I need 1,491 is what I'm guessing, Ethereum chain coins, which is right now, or maybe it's not that many. Maybe it's just, I don't know. I know I need the cryptocurrency in order to purchase it.
So you know what? This is why this should have been even more of a red flag to people because seriously, if you're selling something to someone, you most likely can purchase it in whatever currency you want to, right? Whether it's US dollar or any other currency. The reason that they wanted them to purchase Ethereum for this is because sometimes you can make money disappear on the blockchain. I mean, you can see it and you can find it and you can see the transaction, but at some point it might get to a point where you can't find the actual owner. Like there's some things called blockchain auditors and crypto auditors. I'm actually in a course right now for that. I'm in a lot of courses right now and I'm learning a lot. Will I ever get the certificates? Who knows? But I'm learning a lot. So that is why they wanted you to purchase the crypto so that they could try and make the transactions, or the owner of the transaction, the person who was the recipient, kind of disappear. You know what I mean?
It's either that or it's the type of blockchain platform, but they're all different ones. It's like
Right.
the other one would have used Solana.
Yes. Yes.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
See? I don't know enough.
Yeah. So in a nutshell, though, what happens is you have your own platform and then you release your Bitcoin on your platform. Like Bitcoin is actually a quote unquote name brand.
Correct.
It is a type of digital currency. It's just the one that's been the most popular. And so they sell their own coin on their own platform. So yeah, but I get it now. I didn't even read that. I didn't catch that in the story. That makes even more sense and would deter me away even quicker. You only want me to purchase it with this one type of digital currency?
Right.
Oh, okay. Interesting. I didn't catch that. That's a good catch because that's insane.
Yeah, that's one too many steps for me.
Right? You want me to give you my money, but you want me to jump through hoops to give you my money. It's almost like those scammers that you get where they say, I'm going to send you a check for $10,000 and I just need you to cash it for me. And for your trouble, I'm going to give you 3 of the 10.
Right. Yeah. It's just too much for me. I'm already upset that I changed my screen protector on my phone and it won't utilize my thumbprint, so I have to put in my 4-digit code.
That's why I keep thinking a lot of these scams, the people that are taking advantage of this might not, the amount to some people may not mean much to them because it's within their risk tolerance. And then you have on the other side of the coin, let's talk about the other side though. You have those people who are betting on this one-time windfall to secure their retirement or to give them a lot of money for a life savings. I think you have people that are on both ends of the spectrum. I don't think you have that many people that are kind of like us in the middle where we would take risk, but we would be very skeptical about it. I think it's either the money doesn't really matter to them that much, or they're taking a huge risk because they need a bunch of money for something. They're in a dire situation.
Right.
Wow.
Yeah. No, I mean, we see it. This is how people fall for scams. It's just, how do we communicate to those that could be susceptible to something like this? I mean, this was excessive, so I'm guessing it's people that had quite a bit of money. I don't think they were trying to scrape people to get like their $300, $400, $500. But like, how do we communicate this in this ever-changing environment, technology environment?
This is what I think. I think scams have been going on since the beginning of time, and I think that all of us will have what I like to call our stupid moments. And notice I didn't say we're stupid people, because most of us aren't stupid, but we can have a vulnerable and stupid moment. For example, let me see, how can I clean this up for LinkedIn? Have you heard of, geez, I hate saying this, but I gotta say it because it proves the point beautifully. Have you heard of the Haktua girl?
Yes.
Okay, so you have heard of her. For
Correct.
those who have not, there was a young lady who has risen to fame recently simply because she was asked a question that was sexual in nature, and her response was,
Sexually charged.
Yes, her response was sexually charged. And she's become known as the Haktua girl. You can look it up on your own. So after that, though, she got a podcast. She was being paid to speak everywhere. And she started a digital currency. Now, a lot of people bought into this digital currency only to find out that it was worthless. They bought into it because of her fame, and so now she's being investigated. She's saying that she didn't necessarily know anything about it. So I'm not here to talk about whether she's guilty or innocent or not. More so, I'm talking about the people who actually bought into this thing simply because they liked her or what she stood for.
Right.
You bought a digital currency based on someone who said some sexually suggestive things on the internet. And that's what I mean by, I think some of us have our stupid moments, because there's absolutely no way that everyone who purchased this is a stupid person in general as a whole. But there was a stupid moment of weakness that they must have had that allowed them to buy this digital currency from someone who had no kind of skills to offer society.
Yeah, no, it looks like with hers, it was essentially, I think somebody came to her and said, hey, let's get this coin started. This is what you're going to get to promote it. you'll get 50% of the net trading proceeds after operating costs were paid to third parties. She owned 10% of the entire supply, but she also couldn't sell them for a year.
Yeah.
So she got paid. She got paid to be the face. So now it does make you sit here and think, well, who was the one that came up with it? And did they know that this was going to happen? Did they take their money and run? Did it drop because they unsold all theirs?
Yeah, that's what happened. They sold all of theirs. The people who used her to be the face of it. But still, even if she got roped into doing it, when it was put out there into the universe, why would anyone sign up for this thing? This has got to be this is Stephanie. Who's the brain surgeon making investments based on some rando on the streets who made a funny comment? Right. That is the point that I'm getting at.
Yeah.
That's why I think that there are people on different ends of the spectrum, either people who the money doesn't matter, it's within their risk tolerance, or the people who are holding out for hope for their get rich quick scheme. I don't think rational thinking, like, there's no way I looked at said, ooh, Hawk Tour Girl has a Bitcoin, has a digital currency coming out. I'm going to buy this thing. There's no way.
It makes me wonder, because it goes back to, if we really think about a Bitcoin, everybody's looking for the next Bitcoin. They're looking for that. I put in $1, I get out $55,000, $60,000. I think that's what it is. Everybody's trying to get ahead of that train. And I would be surprised if it happened again.
Well, so here's the thing. It will happen again, just not with digital currencies. It'll happen with something else. You know? And then that's the other thing. I think people think that Bitcoin was an overnight success. Again, the first Bitcoin was released in 2008, I believe. So
Is it a liquid currency?
think about that now, the double entendre there. That is hilarious. That's
I think it started in 2009. Bitcoin did.
There you go. See, I knew it was 8 or 9. Yeah. So it's not like it just came out of nowhere.
Right. And the prices plummeted between 2014 and 2015, back down to about $26.90. So it took it about a year and a half to go from 9 cents to $26. Then another year and a half to get up to 123. Prices plummeted back down to about the 30. And then it's just been, I mean, it's kind of been taken off since then with a couple of dips, but
okay. Sorry.
At some point it's going to be just like swiping our hands and exchanging cash back and forth.
Yeah. I'm supposed to be professional over here, so let me act like it.
Or what if our earnings are based off of likes on social media?
Yeah. Well, and I think that's just a sign of the world that we live in, and to a certain extent, it's actually kind of cool. I'm not going to be one of these old fogies who says this is stupid. No, if you can make money off of people liking you and liking you alone, provided that you provide them with some value, I'm okay with that. So
as long as it's legal.
There you go. But a liquid coin, I mean a coin. Sorry. If you are just joining us today, we are talking about two 23-year-olds who created some NFTs that were supposed to be the first NFTs backed by physical assets. Unfortunately, it looks like those physical assets either A, did not exist at all, or B, didn't exist to the extent in which we were told that they existed. And they were able to allegedly get up to about $22 million from different people. They have now been charged with conspiracy to commit wire fraud, actual wire fraud, and stalking because someone that they hired to work for them started to blow the whistle and they allegedly harassed him and his family.
Yep.
That's a lot.
Makes me wonder how much time you think they're gonna get.
That's a good question. A lot. No, probably not. I mean, because what, Elizabeth Holmes got what, 12 years?
If she even
I think she got like 12 years.
that long.
And I don't know. I think if I look at it in the grand scheme of things, I think she actually harmed more people. But then again, even in her case, they got her on the investor fraud, not necessarily for the individuals that got wrong diagnosis and things like that. So
If convicted, they each face a maximum penalty of 20 years in prison on each of the conspiracy and wire fraud counts, and a maximum penalty of 5 years on the stalking. So what? That could end up being 45 years if they got the max and had to serve it one right after the other.
oh, you know what's real crazy about that too? They could get out at like what was that, like a 75? No. Yeah. Close enough. 70,
Oh no,
70.
it would be 60 because one was a conspiracy to fraud.
Ah, okay. Ah.
I
Wow.
don't know what the minimum is. Who knows? For all we know, they could get probation.
They could. They were just kids. Yeah, they could vote and they could go to war. Let's anyway.
They knew what they were doing.
Yeah, boy, did they. And actually they were fairly smart. I mean,
Oh,
uh-oh.
I just found out one of the kids, he was a D1 swimmer
Oh.
for UNC.
Oh wow. That is
For UNC.
insane.
Swimming commit. So maybe he didn't swim from them. He committed to the D1 school.
Okay, okay. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah. There is a difference. But
Mhm.
but wait, if they were 23 now, then he wouldn't have been a commit. I mean, at 23, he should be about to graduate.
Yeah, it said he committed to swim. He was briefly on their roster, but he never swam for a meet. He
Okay,
dropped
gotcha.
out and launched a TikTok account, leading into the hyper alpha male niche, where he posted videos about things like eating raw chicken to get his hydration instead of drinking water, and referring to himself as the youngest billionaire in the world.
Oh, he was gonna manifest it.
It was backed by jewelry, and he abandoned it, saying the marketplace never materialized.
Okay, okay. So they actually were trying to do various things to create income for themselves, which that part I can applaud, because I mean, this economy is very strange, right? You can go to college and spend a whole bunch of money and get a degree that doesn't pay you as much as you spent on going to college,
Yeah.
or you could try and make money some other way. Apparently, they tried some other way, and that ain't working too well.
Yeah.
Stephanie called him a Tide Pod eater. Oh God. I, yeah, yeah.
Yeah. I
All
mean, I'm
right.
just sitting here thinking you had those things. We always talk about fraudsters don't use their brain or anything for good. And it's all about this. And I'm sitting here going, you had an opportunity to get an education from UNC.
Threw it all away.
I got rejected from that school.
You're not
People
at
that
all
work
bitter.
hard.
You're not the least bit bitter about that now, are you?
Well,
Not
I mean, his name's going to be on the internet for a while. I don't think it's going anywhere any soon, I mean, don't need a paid background check to find this out.
not at all.
So, yeah.
All right. So anything else about today's story other than the fact that it was just absolutely nuts?
Maybe we should start offering services and telling people if you think it's too good, Just reach out in an email. We'll take 5 minutes to look at it, and we can tell you if it's a scam.
Oh, wait. 5 minutes and $5.
Okay. Could so do that.
That's our new business idea, you guys. So if you come across something that you think might be a scam, just send us an email and send $5, and we'll take a look at it and tell you if it's a scam or not. Or if we think it's a scam.
Scamslayers.com.
Ooh,
Done.
that's it. All right. So thank you all for joining us this week on another episode. I forgot what episode number it is. The Price of Pixel Promises. And we'll see you next week.
See ya.